Welcome to InCabin, the community exploring how sensing, software, and human factors come together inside the vehicle. We are joined by Robert Bloomquist, Executive Vice President of Global Sales for Indie, to talk about the technology they're building and the challenges they're solving right now. Robert, welcome back to InCabin. Good to see you, friend.
Good to see you, Carl, and excited to share what we've been doing for the last year since our interview last year.
Yeah, and at that time when we spoke, Indie had just acquired emotion3D. I remember seeing the announcement on LinkedIn. So that was near the end of 2025. So how has everything been going with that, Robert?
Like any integration, you're always going to find things where there's challenges, but I can tell you that there's been a lot more positives than negatives. And, I'll just start right out of the gate. Last fall, as soon as they came over, we're on board. We also were able to take their software and within the span of 5 to 6 weeks, integrate that software onto one of our SoC platforms and have that actually displayed at CES. And I think that's a testament, to having two high performance teams come together. Um, that haven't worked before together and put a very viable, excellent demo to get experience together for our customers at CES. Over the last year, focused on customer needs and building solutions to those needs. And with the pedigree of having done that already into the automotive market globally, that's a very powerful thing.
Yeah, absolutely, Robert. And like you said, two high performing teams coming together, that synergy. So you have these now attractive offerings for your customers. You've merged these two teams together. So you're able to provide a lot of strong solutions for the market. So tell us a little bit more about this, Robert, and some of the attractive offerings you do have right now.
Absolutely. So again, going back to that automotive pedigree, foundationally, there's got to be security in the system. Without security, you can't have safety. But functionally, we're in an automotive grade safety context, and then especially on the hardware side, you've got to also be doing that in the environmental automotive context, overall temperatures and crazy things that you get tested for in auto, right? But really, we've really seen the culmination of that integration opportunity. Last year, we talked about what we believe the pre-integration would offer, and we're seeing that in spades. To review that, when the software and hardware come pre-integrated, the time to market for our customers is accelerated dramatically. But at the same time, it lowers the risk. We've already gone through and done the debug foundationally, so we're not finding things as we go. This has already been pre-integrated, and the reception from the customers on that side has been fantastic and really leads to a much higher quality experience right out of the gate, thereby freeing up time for their development teams to focus on the differentiation they want to bring in the product, which oftentimes now is including IP they've developed in-house. So, we're bringing aspects of hardware and software together, but our customers inevitably, whether they're tier one or OEM, they've been working on human factors. They've been working on things that they think are differentiated, and bringing all that together into one solution is ultimately what's going to provide that customer experience they're targeting in the out in the market. So it's been really good.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And so we'll see you this year in Cabin USA 2026 in Detroit, June 9th through the 11th at the Huntington Place downtown in the Motor City. Robert, what do you have planned for this year's in Cabin? What will you be showcasing?
Yeah, so it's iteratively we're going to have the large automotive, the full buck demo where you're seated in a cockpit environment, and that's going to really show off the software side of the full suite of capabilities we've got around DMS and OMS. So we're continuing to iterate on that process. That's a very good demo to get a quick um, experience both visually, and you can really test the system, exercise it across a whole bunch of different parameters, and real time see the output of that and how we display that visually back to the people in the demo. So that really is a great way to get up and running quickly and show the customers the experience they're going to have when they integrate this in their vehicle. So that's the buck demo. At the same time, we're also expanding on um, the sensor side of the demo. So we'll have a multimodality showing our vision processing of SoC, taking in multiple camera feeds in parallel that provide a very low latency camera display and give you the latest in DMS OMS offerings, again in a multi-sensor modality.
Yeah, that's fantastic, Robert. So you're coming to InCabin with the buck, as you've said. The success of the acquisition of Emotion 3D, ready to go for CES in record time, and then, of course, solving numerous challenges for your customers and your partners. So, with all that being said, Robert, what else is in store for Indy here in the near future?
Yeah, so we continue to see a very dynamic market. And, from that standpoint, we can't stand still. And so looking at the software roadmap side, we continue to see a very quickly evolving regulatory environment. So we're going to be supporting those needs globally with evolving the roadmap around regulatory. But then also on the heels of that's NCAP. There's the things you have to have, and then there's the things the automotive OEMs really want to have because they want to have the 5-star, safety ratings, and that involves meeting and achieving certain features in those relevant regions. And so we're moving in lockstep to make sure our customers stay ahead of that regulatory and NCAP environment, but at the same time, also want to continue to push the envelope with the latest in in-cabin features, again, to help our customers differentiate their products in the market and, yeah, and provide things that they can, put on the window sticker and that customers are going to appreciate and want. And
Yeah,
then,
yeah,
very much a hardware, that's a software context, but
yeah.
ultimately underneath it, we have to have the hardware to accelerate those features as well. And we've got a roadmap around the SoCs that we're continuing to proliferate. But I do want to take this opportunity also to make sure that customers understand, a lot of times where they integrate these functions is going to be based on their architectures. And so we have a number of customers today that, might integrate the DMS in their infotainment system, and they just want our software. And we have a whole bunch of those customers. We're supporting that, business model, and we'll continue to indefinitely because whether it's an infotainment, the ADAS system, or is hosted, in a tightly embedded system as a standalone product, we need to really meet them across all of those continuums because at any given OEM, they might have all three of those. If you look at a high volume Asian or German car manufacturer, that has upwards of 9 or 10 million units, they're going to have products that just need regulatory and they need a really small, low cost embedded module. And yet on the other end of the portfolio, they're going to have their premium products that where they might have a very big central ADAS domain controller. And so, being able to support the hardware and software at one end, but really the software across that entire continuum is what we seek to achieve, because that ultimately means that great customer experience they're having can proliferate across their entire portfolio.
Yeah, so many fantastic insights, Robert. I love it when you come back and join us and just the industry leadership overall for Indy. I've always been impressed with. And then just this recent move with Emotion 3D. It's just such a pleasure to talk to you, my friend. Robert Bloomquist, Executive Vice President of Global Sales for Indy. We're looking forward to seeing you in person in Detroit for InCabin USA 2026. June 9th through the 11th at the Huntington Place in downtown Detroit. But until then, friend, thank you for being with us, at least virtually anyway.
Carl, thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing everyone in June. We'll cross our fingers for good weather.
Yeah, indeed,
Thank
my
you.
friend. For more information on Indy and to find out more about our upcoming events, see the links in the description or visit incabin.com. That's incabin.com. And for more in depth interviews like this, subscribe to this YouTube channel and follow InCabin on LinkedIn in Detroit. On behalf of InCabin, I'm Carl Anthony.